Hey everyone, welcome back to JavaScript Deep Dive. I'm Madan Mohan and today we are going to explore two fundamental concepts in JavaScript, the call stack and hosting. Have you ever wondered how JavaScript keeps track of function calls and what happens to the variables and functions before your code starts executing? Let's dive in and find out. First, let's talk about the call stack. The call stack is a data structure that JavaScript uses to keep track of function calls. It's called a stack because it follows the last in first out principle. Imagine the call stack as a stack of plates. When you call a function, a new plate is added on top of the stack. When the function returns, the top plate is removed. Let's look at an example here. So if you observe, we have two functions and a function calling and then a console log statement. If you already have watched my first video, you would have understood the flow of the execution of this particular program. So let me open up the drawing. So as you know, the first global execution context is going to be created and then it will start executing one after another, right? So now let me draw a call stack over here. So let's say this is a call stack. Now let's see the flow of this execution. See, as you know, first a global execution context is going to be created for this program. So let me write a global execution context over here. So a global execution context is going to be created. After this, as it start execution, if we observe for the first function there is no function call, then it will move to the second one. So inside the second one there is a function calling for the first thing. So it will move back to the first function. This first function is going to be moved onto the call stack. Understand this carefully. First, whenever a program is going to be executed, global execution context is created and it will pushed into the call stack. And then in our particular code, the first thing which is going to be executed is the function one, and the function one is will be pushed onto the call stack. Now, as soon as a function execution is completed, that means a console log statement has been printed, then this function one will come out of the call stack. Let me remove this. Once the function 1 has been executed, it will come out of the call stack. Then it will move to the second function. So the second function is going to be pushed onto the call stack. And then there is one more console log here. Once the console log has been printed, then again the second also will come out of the call stack. Let me remove this. Once this one has been executed, this also will come out of the call stack. So what is left over here, which is a global execution context. So in our code, the last one which is left over is a console log statement, which is a global execution context in this case. So once it has been completed, that means our program execution has been completed. So the last thing which is going to be printed in the console is global execution context. That means global context over here. So at the end, the call stack would be empty. So the global execution context is also going to be popped out of the call stack. So this way the call stack keeps track of where the program is in its execution. If a function calls another function, the new function is pushed onto the stack and executed, and the process continues. Now let's move on to hosting. So in order to understand the hosting, let me write an example over here first. I'm declaring a variable, let's say x, and assigning value to it, and I just want to log this one. What would be the output of this program? You all might know this. The output would be 10. Now the question is, what if I try to log this one before declaration? So x is declared over here at line number 4. What if I try to access this particular x over here at number 2, even before the declaration? See here, it is saying undefined. Why it is showing undefined here? So let's recap the first episode. As you know, before the actual execution of a program, JS engine would actually allocate memory to the variables and functions inside your program, right? That's what we have seen in the previous episode. So you know, in the first step, for all the variables undefined is the special keyword which is going to be allocated, right? So that is the reason why as you try to access a sex before the declaration, it is showing undefined. See here, at line number 1 it is showing undefined, but at line number 4 it is showing number 10. In case of variables it is showing undefined, right? So let me write a function over here. What happens if you try to access this particular function before the declaration? Let's see. First let me call the function over here. As soon as I save this, of course, test function is going to be printed. What if I try to call this function right on the top? Any guess? So what it is going to be printed? Will it print undefined, or is it going to print the function, or it throws an error? Any guess? Let's see. See here, it has printed test function. Why is it so? So as I already told you, in the first step in the memory allocation phase, functions are completely going to be stored, right? So this complete function is going to be stored in the memory allocation phase. That is the reason even you call this function right over here on the top, the function is going to be executed. That means it could able to access the function. That's a reason why you are seeing console log is been printed. But coming to the variables, as you know, initially variables are stored with a special keyword which is undefined. This is what we technically call it as a hosting in JavaScript. So hosting in a sense, just because the variables and the functions are already allocated a memory before first line of execution has been started, that's a reason why variables and functions would be even accessible before the declaration. And one more thing I would like to add to this is here you have seen undefined, right? So what is not defined? Have you ever seen not defined? Let me console log some random variable. See this. See, I just tried to log a variable which is add. What it is showing, uncaught reference error, add is not defined. See, there is a difference between undefined and not defined. When I say undefined, as I said, it is a special keyword in JavaScript, and all the variables would be assigned with this undefined before the execution of the program. But coming to not defined, add is not declared over here. So as you try to access a variable which is not even available in the memory location, that's a reason why it is throwing an error, add is not defined. So this is the difference between undefined and not defined. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe and hit the bell icon to get notified about my new deep dive into JavaScript. Thanks for watching and happy coding.